comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah, here comes the, no, here comes the, oh, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that.
Comes the boom! Here comes the boom!
Good afternoon, Jets Nation. Welcome to the Jude Jets Show. I'm your host, Jude Jets, joined my co-host, Italy Jet, and it's been a minute. Last Jets Duo show we did, we were talking about the draft, and now it's been a minute since that happened, but we gotta catch up. Italy Jet, how's it going, man?
It's been a good week for my teams, and it's been a bad week for my teams. I am representing Miami Heat, not Dolphins. Miami Heat. They won Wednesday. I'm happy. West Ham, they're in the UEFA Conference Finals now. I'm happy. Other than that, go Red Sox. I know y'all are going to hate me for that. I don't care. So it's been a big week for the Jets too. And I'm going on vacation. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
And speaking of vacation, you know, it's the summertime, people going on vacation, and the interesting thing is me and Italy Jet's going on vacation next week. I'm going on vacation. So, like, the day he gets back is the day I leave for vacation. Yeah. So, no Jets Duo show for the next two weeks. Sorry about that, but we got life to live. But we'll get back. We'll get back pretty shortly. But the Jets have been pretty quiet over the past 2 weeks. Of course, there was one big story that happened. We got the schedule release, and, of course, something happened today. And we have a lot of other stuff to talk about. But starting off with the biggest story that happened over the past 2 weeks, this whole Quinnen Williams situation. For those that are somehow not aware, Quinnen Williams changed his Twitter bio to where it was originally defensive tackle for the New York Jets, and then now it's defensive tackle for the ... So Quinnen Williams no longer plays for the New York Jets. Just kidding. He's still a New York Jet, but they're figuring all this contract stuff out. And he also unfollowed the New York Jets on Instagram and Twitter.
Everything, yeah.
So, yeah, he is doing the 2020s player way of trying to get leverage in a contract extension by trying to remove them from their bio and then unfollow them on social media. So, we know this is hurting Joe Douglas very deep down because having Quinnen Williams follow the Jets on Instagram is, something Joe Douglas prides all of his players in doing. But Italy Jet, what are your thoughts on this whole Quinnen Williams situation? Could it escalate to a further level? Is this a Jamal Adams 2.0, or is this a new thing? Is the New York Jets actually going to sign one of our draft picks to a long-term deal? Let's hear it.
We are going to sign Quinnen Williams. It's just a matter of time. This is an era of social media. This is an era of everything when it comes to young men like this that are not only in sports, actors, actresses. This is just the era. This is their manager telling them, okay, just scrub everything. Let's get their attention. Let's try and do something. It's messed up, and I hate every single minute of it, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to be worried about it until summertime, because it's just, he said this all before. If he doesn't get a deal done, he's not going to show up to anything. And he's got a baby coming out. I mean, he's got his baby's due next week, right? Next week or the week after, something like that, end of May. So, and I know Quincy has said that he's helping him get ready for that. So it's a problem if it gets to summertime. But they made the right moves. Lawson, you say $12.3 million in that. So I get that. Now next is Corey Davis, then Whitehead and CJ Mosley. Get them under control, then sign Quinnen to a huge contract. But I'm hearing that Quinnen wants a short-term deal, as far as years. Money is there, but the years. That's what's kind of, I think, the kicker right now. But Quinnen wants a shorter deal. The Jets want a long-term deal. And I think since he's so young, he could have another big contract when he's 30. So that's where things are headed right now. So what a time to be alive for the New York Jets. But this is what we got to do. So we got to deal with. And it's going to be a headache before it gets better, but I still think that this is going to get done. we're not stupid. We're not going to let this go. And even if it does go longer, we still have him under this year. We still have him for this year. He's just going to get more pissed off, though, and I can see him sitting out. I really can. His nickname is Big Baby Q, and I'll tell you why. It stems back to Alabama days because he looks like a baby. He had the braces. See? Braces. That's what it stems back to. It's no disrespect, and it's not a disrespect. That's what his nickname was. So, kind of plays a little bit funny when it comes to this situation, doesn't it? Yeah. So, I have no issues until summertime, but I'm hoping that they get a deal done fast because I really do love him. Roll Tide.
And go Tigers. But I've been
Shut the
saying
hell
this
up.
I've been saying this entire off season that this Quentin Williams deal is going to be getting done in June. If you've been watching the show, I've said it's going to get done in June. I don't know why. It just felt like something that was going to happen. Joe Douglas takes his time on anything important. Just look out how long it took to get Aaron Rodgers. Look how long it took to trade Jamal Adams. He takes his time. And with this big contract extension for Quentin Williams, this is like the first big contract Joe Douglas has ever had to hand out. This is something pretty big for him. This is a first for him, even though he's been a general manager for the New York Jets since 2019, the year we drafted Quentin Williams. Although he didn't draft Quentin Williams, he hasn't handed out a big-time extension. He hasn't re-signed one of our draft picks yet. Now this is a first for Joe Douglas at this point in his general manager career, so he's going through all these details. And as you said, Quentin Williams has a baby on the way, so he's focusing more on that. And the New York Jets also had to trade for an Aaron Rodgers this offseason, draft a couple players, sign some free agents. We were very busy this offseason. And, of course, we have Quentin Williams, but it's not like he was a free agent. Quentin Williams still has another year left a contract with the New York Jets because of the fifth-year option, and he basically is too, because if they aren't able to agree on an extension this offseason or during next season, if this goes on to next offseason, the New York Jets can just place that franchise tag on Quentin Williams, and they can continue to negotiate. So worst-case scenario is the New York Jets might have an unhappy Quentin Williams, so we have him for 2 years. Now, of course, if he holds out, that's where things start to get a little chippy, because if he's holding out of training camp and if he's holding out of like actual games, if it goes that far, then that's where we start to get a little crazy. Personally, I don't think Quentin Williams will hold out, because normally if a player holds out an entire year, it doesn't really bode well for him. But, Quentin Williams is still young. He still has a lot left. And, he's not a Le'Veon Bell. He's not a running back. He's a defensive tackle. So he still probably would have it in him, but it's just a very, icky situation if you were to hold out. So the New York Jets are just going to have to play the cards right. I really think this deal is going to get done in June. When in June it's going to get done, I don't know, but I think it's going to get done sometime in June, maybe July, but I feel like this gets done in training camp. And you mentioning Quentin Williams wanting a short deal is very interesting, because he would get more money on a long-term deal. If he wants this $26 million a year, pay that out over 5 years? I'm not doing the math right there, but that's a lot of money. But you get $26 million over 3 years, you're not going to get the same amount. And maybe Quentin Williams is thinking he's going to up his game over the next 3 years and be worthy of $30 million a year, and not at, the $26 million that he could get over 5. The New York Jets could, very well hand him out an extension, up his money over that, time of contract. But it's just definitely really interesting, this whole Quentin Williams situation. But you also got to remember that the New York Jets don't have a lot of cap room as of now for next year, because Aaron Rodgers still has that $100 million cap hit. So the New York Jets are going to have to rework that contract, and then once that gets done, Joe Douglas is probably going to have this primary focus on Quentin Williams. But for anyone that's, super concerned about this, think that he's going to get traded, never say never, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. And as far as we know, Quentin Williams still wants to be a New York Jet. You look at this dude's Twitter likes. I haven't looked at him recently. The last time I looked, it wasn't him in a jersey swap. It wasn't other NFL fans begging their team to trade for Quentin Williams. It was Jets fans begging the New York Jets to pay Quentin Williams. And he even said in his end of the season presser that he wants to continue to be a part of the Jets organization. He likes the coaches. He likes how it's ran. His brother even re-signed for 3 years, and I doubt Quincy Williams would have re-signed for 3 years if he knew Quentin Williams was going to be there for at least some of those years. So it's just interesting, this whole Quentin Williams situation. Sure, we didn't want it to go this long, but that's just what it's come to. And if anyone is concerned about him scrubbing the New York Jets from his Twitter, from his Instagram, Kyler Murray did the same thing back last offseason,
Yeah,
and a
shit.
few weeks later, he gets a massive extension from the Arizona Cardinals, and then now he's in their jersey photo shoots and everything. So
Yeah, it's a
just
part of the process. It's part of the
part of the
process.
it's part of the process. I don't know what players used to hold out how they got their leveraging contract back then, but this is the way players do it now, and you're gonna have to get used to it because we might see Sauce Gardner or Garrett Wilson do this in a couple years. So you never know how everything's gonna
Facts.
play out. And hopefully it doesn't
Facts.
come to that, but
Even Brees,
great line. Even Brees Hall and
Barrett Tucker. I
Derek
can go
Tucker,
on and on.
Zach Wilson. We're gonna go on and on. So just joking about Zach Wilson, of course. But moving on to while we're talking
fair,
about
though.
money,
It's fair though. Go
I
on.
mean it definitely is. And whenever the New York Jets get to the 2022 draft, like with Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall, Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, like the New York Jets are gonna be dishing out a ton of money. A ton of money over the next few years. And we're gonna have to
Yeah.
get some Los Angeles Rams, Miami Dolphins, cap restructuring, something going on here. Have J. Cole coming in the comment sections. Sup, J. Cole? Respect you. Respect you back, J. Cole. Love to see you in the
What am
chat.
I, chop liver? What the hell? That's fine. I'm just messing
Alrighty.
around. Go on.
So
Go on.
something that happened today was Carl Lawson taking a pay cut. Now, there's been a lot of rumors this offseason about Carl Lawson potentially getting traded. The New York Jets cutting him entirely. But Robert Saleh said at the NFL owner meetings that they want Carl Lawson to be on this roster. They really like him. And something that not a lot of people know, of course, some people might know this, but Carl Lawson actually re-injured his Achilles in January of 2022.
Right.
He wasn't
Right.
supposed to even play next season or miss a good chunk of it. Instead, he played in all 17 games. I don't think he appeared on the injury report once. Finished with 7 sacks, which I want to say is the second most in his career, along with 24 pressures or QB hits,
Some
something
like,
around
yeah.
there, something like that. And the specifics on this Carl Lawson pay cut are: so he was due 15 million this upcoming year, which was among the top edge rusher salaries in the league. But now his base salary is down to 9 million, and 8 million of that is guaranteed. He can also earn $3 million back with incentive. This move
Right.
also includes 12.7 million in 2023 cap space for the New York Jets, which could be used to sign more free agents, which could be used to trade for a player, which could be used in this Aaron Rodgers contract situation, maybe even Quentin Williams. There's a lot the New York Jets could do with this money because I imagine we're going to be doing something now. Now that we made all this money, freed all this money, we're going to have to do something for it. We're not just going to let that money sit. Of course, rollover cap can happen. We don't use this money. It goes over to next year. But still, I do think something's going to happen with the New York Jets. Maybe Carl Lawson take this pay cut. But what are your thoughts on this, Italy, Jet?
Good. It's about time. We were either going to trade him or cut him, and now it's just easier to cut him. It's easier to save even a lot of money, too. 12.3 million is a lot of money, and we need to use that to pay Quinnen. Mosley, Davis, and Whitehead are next. Whitehead, this is last year. Davis is the last year. Mosley, this is last year. Everything is now last year's, and now Lawson has a chance to prove himself now, to prove that he can still play, prove that he can start, prove his injury wrong. And that's what's going to come down to with this situation. The faster that he can prove a name for himself, the faster that this defense is going to keep getting better and better and better, because we are short at that position right now. We only have we got 5, I would say now, right? But the thing is, with those positions, Salah and Olbrook are always changing things around, and sometimes they might move him into the inside. I don't think so this year because we got Jefferson and Al Woods now. So it's good to keep depth. It's good to keep stuff like that. I was on the first train ride out to have Lawson gone. Now I've kind of changed my mind just a little bit because we're losing players on that front line so much, even though we did add a little bit back. But I actually like it for this deal. As of right now, this is good. He needs to prove himself.
And I also feel like this pay cut indicates that the New York Jets are planning to give either Jermaine Johnson, John Franklin Myers, which I doubt because he's probably going to be inside out.
Right.
Who knows how the Jets are going to use him. I feel like what he did last year is what he's going to do this upcoming year. But you got to look at our younger players. This
Right.
definitely means Jermaine Johnson is going to be getting a larger role. Maybe this means Will McDonald is going to have a larger role than what Jermaine Johnson had last year. Maybe this means Michael Clemens is going to have a larger role. Maybe even Bryce Huff. And speaking of Bryce Huff, there's been a
Right.
lot of speculation recently that he's going to get traded. There's not been an official report. It's just been fans
Wow.
speculating and trying to predict things. But it does make sense because if Bryce Huff were to request a trade, then it would make things a little dicey. And if I'm Bryce Huff, the way I'm looking at it is I had a the highest pressure rate in the NFL last year. The New York Jets only played me like 10 snaps a game, and I was getting like pressures on half of those snaps. I deserve to be on a roster where they're going to play me 50% of the game, or maybe even more than 50%. And I'm on the New York Jets. Yeah, I'm making good amount of money, but I could make more money. What Bryce Huff is going to be doing this season is not going to earn him a big time contract. If he gets traded on another team that is in need of edge, hell, Bryce Huff could potentially earn himself a larger contract. So if Bryce Huff were to request a trade, what would be your thoughts on that, LJ?
When did that happen? Because I don't remember seeing
It
that.
hasn't happened. It's just been a lot of. I've just seen a bunch of speculation online.
Really?
He hasn't requested a trade. It's just been speculation.
I think that would be stupid, to be honest. I think it'd be stupid to get rid of him. I think yeah, having McDonald, bringing Lawson and Clemens there, yeah, that's competition, and I could see him wanting more playing time if I'm the player. But as
Right.
for the Jets, I think that's a stupid move right now. I think
Yeah.
next year I could see that happening a little bit more because all the talent is still going to be here. But if you want to win a championship this year, you got to keep guys like that around. And if they trade them, I will be mad. But even though it is a business decision, and I do understand, I just think as for the Jets defense, as Salah loves that position so damn much that he spent a first round pick on it this year, that I think he needs to keep those guys. If he really wants to produce the next Bosa that he had in San Francisco, because he quotes that a lot, Huff is one of your main targets you can do to have that. So I don't like it. I hope it doesn't happen. I know it's a business, and I understand because there's a lot of talent. But I think if you're trying to win a championship, you never know with injuries, and you never know what certain things that happen with suspensions as well. I think we should keep them.
And yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. I've just seen a lot of fans speculate that, especially after this Carl Lawson pay cut. I personally don't hope it happens. Maybe Bryce Huff is seeing that. Oh, and maybe this could also mean Bryce Huff is getting a larger role. With the pay cut happening, this could mean Bryce Huff gets a larger role because I don't think Carl Lawson is going to be having the same role he had last year after taking this pay cut. I feel like that's kind of a guarantee. So maybe this means a bigger role for Bryce Huff or any of the other edge rushers we have in the room. But definitely still interesting. The New York Jets made this Carl Lawson pay cut. And definitely something that I wasn't expecting to happen. But we know he's going to be back next year on a reduced salary. It's going to be interesting to see what the New York Jets do with that money. One thing I don't think we're going to be doing with that money is re-signing Kawhi Alexander. Now, we'll never say never, but he recently had a visit with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's not looking likely that he's going to re-sign with the Jets. After the meeting concluded, not Carl Lawson, Kawhi Alexander posted, his famous big eye emoji. So it seems like he's getting into the Pittsburgh Steeler mode right now. But Italy Jet, what are your thoughts on Quan Alexander visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I mean, he made what, $1.5 million last year, late in
Something
the
like that.
training camp, going on the roster. This was always a big possibility that Kwame was going to go somewhere and start and get a big payday. He's reaching kind of in the middle of his career right now. He's not necessarily a huge veteran, but he is a veteran presence. That's why they brought him in. That's why he knows the system. That's why he loves Salah so much. So I do understand where Quan's coming from. I really hope we bring him back. But I do understand that they want the young talent. to flourish. They think Sherwood's going to make a step. They think a lot of other steps are going to happen. But if I'm you, just like with Huff, you got to bring Quan back. You need to have that veteran presence. You need this guy to win a championship. He's not a big fan of the switching in and out. And honestly, I wouldn't either. But it's one of those things where that's the way the system is run right now. So I could see him doing this. I think it'll be a perfect situation for him, but and getting a payday as well. But I want him back. I just don't see him back with us. I as much as I want it to happen. It's kind of like you're choosing right now between getting a safety and a linebacker over Q. And every day of the week, I would pick Q.
Right. And, the thing about Quan Alexander, now a lot of people were bringing up the points that, oh, yeah, the New York Jets didn't sign him to like July last year, so he's not going to resign immediately. And I always thought this was something the New York Jets were wanting to get done just because he was very important to our defense last year.
Right.
He played in all 17 games after having, a pretty injured, past 2 years. He played in all 17 games. He was great for the New York Jets in the role we had him play. But I feel like Quan Alexander was a stopgap player because we're not interviewed. We had a visit with them before the NFL draft even happened. And then we don't sign him until like July during training camps going or while training camps going on. And I feel like the New York Jets are really hoping that a Jamie Sherwood, a Hasbro Nazardine would take the year 2 step and be a potential starting linebacker for the New York Jets. They realized that step hasn't been made, so they went out and signed Quan Alexander. Now, if he's still a free agent during training camp, if he takes his time like he did last year with this whole Steelers thing or any other third-party team that's potentially interested in Quan Alexander, we could see the New York Jets re-sign him late into the offseason once again. But if Quan Alexander wants to be on a team against the organization right away, then he's most likely going to be like, hey, the New York Jets aren't giving me the money right now. I'm not coming back. Even though he wants to come back. You look at Quan Alexander's Twitter page, you look at his Instagram, you look at his Twitter likes. It's Jets fans wanting this guy back. It's Quan Alexander liking those people saying the New York Jets should bring Quan Alexander back. You didn't see anything about the Steelers or nothing. Seems like Quan Alexander wants to return to the New York Jets. The Jets just want to go young to the position. Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, former linebacker coaches. They're trying to develop this next linebacker. Joe Douglas is trying to save himself some money. And that's what I feel like the New York Jets are going to do. I mean, Jamie and Sherwood are someone that impressed me last year in the few snaps he played. I think he might have played under 100 snaps offensively last season, but in those 100 snaps, he did impress me. He had a pretty good preseason. I remember watching all the preseason games and saying Jamie and Sherwood sure stepped it up. And I said in my 53-man roster video last year that Jamie and Sherwood could surprise a couple people this year, but the one performance that sticks out to me the most is whenever Jamie and Sherwood came in against the Buffalo Bills. He only played 9 snaps, but had 5 tackles in those 9 snaps and half a sack. He filled a C.J. Mosley spot. Once C.J. Mosley got back, Jamie and Sherwood didn't see game action until like another 6 weeks later, but he impressed me during that span. And maybe the New York Jets, seeing what I'm seeing in Jamie and Sherwood, maybe what we saw isn't just literally this small of a sample size, and he can actually do that week in and week out, but it's just seeming like the New York Jets want to go younger at linebacker. And then you see all these, interviews with Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. They're all saying the same thing. We're keeping the door open for Quan Alexander returning. Right. But they're also talking, we have a lot of good young players on the roster that could potentially take his spot. So as much as we want Quan Alexander to return to the New York Jets, and as much as you guys watching want him to return, we just don't think it's going to happen just because it seems like the two sides are wanting to move on. Quan Alexander was a stopgap player for the New York Jets, and he's at the will linebacker spot. It's something that can be replaced. It's something you don't need on the field every single down. And there's still a couple other free agents left available. Rashaan Evans is still a free agent. He was with the Falcons last year, had a good bit of tackles. I'm not really sure. I think he was maybe in Tennessee before he was in Atlanta, but he could have potentially played for Ulbrich, so there's maybe a connection right there. But either way, the New York Jets have their options at linebacker. Personally, I feel like we're going with either Zaire Barnes, Jamie and Sherwood, Hassan Nazardine, or Shaz Surratt in that Quan Alexander spot. Moving on to the schedule release. That was, of course, last week, and the New York Jets got themselves a pretty good schedule. 6 primetime games, a whole lot of bonuses for us. So, Italy Jet, what is your thoughts on the New York Jets 2023 schedule?
I mean, I think we'll go 10-6. Sorry, is it 10-6? No,
It'll
10 and
be 11 and
7 or
6.
11 and
Yeah.
6. That's what I think we're gonna go. There's gonna be some games we're gonna lose. There's gonna be some games that we're not that we're gonna win. I think the Bills and Dolphins is really interesting because I think we're gonna lose one and win one. I think we're gonna lose our end of the season ones, and then we're in the beginning of the season is when we'll lose. I really do think so because it seems like that's where the vibe is kind of switching because of everything, all the tough teams that we face against in the beginning. But we faced against a lot of tough teams last year, and I totally understand that. And I think we're just more ready now than I think we've ever been before. You can't lose all the games that we have lost last year. Those are winnable games.
Right.
And not only that, we can't win 8 to 9 games this year. We can't. We can't. We got to win 10 or 11 games because that 7th round bye is going to be crucial for us. I wanted a more like a 10th round bye or maybe an 8-9, but I understand. And then you got 6 primetime games. Holy crap. First time
Wow.
ever. First time ever we've had such primetime games. But we've had Sunday night and Monday night games before, but nothing as big as this because now Aaron Rodgers is in town. It's the Aaron Rodgers effect. He's sold more of his jerseys with the Jets than anyone this year already. Sold out. What the hell? So it's amazing. I think this is going to be a tough schedule, but I'm really going to enjoy this year. I'm excited about the New York Jets. I think this is going to be great. Going to do some traveling there too, Jude, as well. But I think overall, I'm excited. We could go to the playoffs. We could maybe win the Super Bowl. I don't know. But you know what the biggest key is about this, Jude? We got the Chiefs 4th week. We have the Cowboys.
At our stadium, too.
We have the Cowboys. We got a lot of these tough teams in the beginning, and a lot of those teams suck in the beginning because they're still trying to figure out chemistry. That's what they do. If we can hop on that early, just like we did last year, because it's inevitable the Jets always won't lose their first game, and Aaron Rodgers has lost his first game every year for the past several years. So if we could bounce back, holy crap, it's gonna be great. I like that we're getting tough teams early because then they can figure out the chemistry. Because I mean, look what we did with the Packers, we do with the Ravens. Sorry, not the Ravens. Sorry, the Broncos. So it's gonna be good, man. Let's just hit the ground running, man.
And you mentioned Aaron Rodgers not doing great in the week one. He hasn't won a week one game since 2020. Of course, so there's that right there. And I remember in both of those games, the Vikings blew out the Packers, the Saints blew out the Packers. The back-to-back years. But of course, very different situation because now he's on a Jets team that has Super Bowl expectations. A lot of the NFL media are predicting the New York Jets to finish with more than 10 wins, not having a losing record for the first time since 2017, which is absolutely huge. And I mean, if the New York Jets can win most of our primetime games, it would be awesome because every one of our primetime games, except for the Week 10 Sunday Night Football matchup against the Raiders, is home, which is huge for the New York Jets. The schedule favored us. Well, not the schedule, just how they pick teams favored us greatly because most of our away matchups aren't exactly, the marquee matchups of the week. Now that we have most of the good teams, and that's another thing that sticks out about the schedule. Yeah, we play a lot of hard teams this year. We play the Bengals. No, we don't play the Bengals. We play the Chiefs. We play the Eagles. 2 teams in the Super Bowl last year. We play a bunch of playoff teams from last year. We have the 6th hardest schedule in the NFL. Most of those games are going to be at MetLife Stadium on our new turf, which is absolutely huge. And I mean, hopefully the New York Jets can capitalize off of all those teams building the chemistry. I'm really excited to watch the New York Jets on primetime television. Haven't got to see a lot of that in my career. Haven't got to see the New York Jets play a primetime game on Sunday night. Never seen a New York Jets game on Sunday Night Football. That's going to change this year. Just super excited for the season and the schedule. We do play a lot of tough teams in the beginning, but I going to point to last year because everyone was like, "Oh, the New York Jets' beginning of the season is an absolute gauntlet," but yet we were 5-2 through the first seven. What is that? Yeah, 7 weeks of the season, which was whenever the New York Jets played all the hard teams, and then we won like 2 games over the next 10 weeks when the New York Jets are playing all these easy teams. So yeah, I mean, while the Texans and the Commanders and the Falcons at the end of the season look like easy wins, they could be the best teams in the NFL next year, and the Cowboys, Chiefs, and Eagles could all be terrible, which I don't think happens, but you never know. Things change all the time in the NFL, and normally teams that have these super tough, hard schedules end up being, middle of the pack or towards that easy schedules towards the end of the year, while it's vice versa with the teams with the easy schedule. So things change all the time. Of course, there's a bunch of teams that made a lot of moves this offseason. A lot of teams got better, a lot of teams got worse. So it's just going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. And I mean, the New York Jets are another team that just got a lot better. A lot of people, I feel like, aren't remembering the fact that the New York Jets almost were a playoff team last year, despite not having good quarterback play in like most of our games. We maybe had 4 games last year where we had good QB play, and we won all 4 of those games. And we were also winning games when Brees Hall was on the field. I mean, we were undefeated when Brees Hall scored a touchdown. He scored 5 touchdowns last year. We were 5-0 in all 5 of those games. So now that we get hopefully a healthy Brees Hall next year, Aaron Rodgers, the weapons we have on the offense, our top 5 defense in the NFL, I mean, this is going to be a dangerous team. This is going to be a dangerous team if everything plays out. Knock on wood. Hopefully it does play out, but this is just going to, yeah, knock on wood. We're superstitious over here. So how the New York Jets chemistry builds together, because you mentioned all these other teams not having the chemistry together. The New York Jets got to get that chemistry tightened up. And if we can take advantage of all those teams building, and if the New York Jets can come out hot, and this is going to be a pretty successful season for the New York Jets. But before we end the stream, we're going to go over some quick rapid fire thoughts on some, miniature Jets news that's happened over the past 2 weeks. So first off, on Tuesday, the New York Jets picked Javelin Guidry off of waivers from the Atlanta Falcons. We cut him last off season, and he bounced around the NFL last year. He was on the Cardinals and the Raiders, or maybe the Raiders and the Cardinals, and then he wound up on the Falcons, and then the Falcons cut him, and now he's back on the New York Jets. So Javelin Guidry's back on the Jets. What are your thoughts on that Italy Jet?
I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world that I'm coming home. I mean, that's what's kind of been like,
Right.
Someone made a clip on Twitter that he's coming home. I mean, it's just good depth. Is it going to make the team? I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Is it going to be practice squad? Probably. But yeah, it's just good depth. They love him. They cut him because there's a lot of depth at that position already, and I get it. But yeah, I love it. I always did like him a lot. So it's just he's going to fight for a spot, and whatever happens, happens. But I do like the depth piece, because then you got to figure out what you're going to do with Berard from LSU. So.
Oh yeah, Jake Bernard Commerce. I mean, the New York Jets just have so much depth at the cornerback position. Play Javelin Guidry just here to be a training camp body, someone that the New York Jets are familiar with, and obviously someone that we like. And he has shown a few, some potential in, the games he's played with the New York Jets in 2020 and 2021. So interesting to see what he's going to do this upcoming year. New York Jets also signed an undrafted free agent tight end, Isaiah Gathings. He was at the New York Jets rookie minicamp on a tryout basis, and he signed with the New York Jets on Monday. So, in the Jet, you know anything about Isaiah Gathings? You got anything you want to say about him?
On who?
Isaiah Gathings. He was very under the radar, low key.
I mean, great. It's going to be hell getting a spot, but great.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in Trey Dean.
Oh yeah, me too. And you mentioned it's going to be tough getting a spot. I mean, the Jets normally have an undrafted free agent make the roster every year, but if we have one, it's probably going to be Trey Dean, and it's most likely not going to be Isaiah Gathings, because the Jets have 7 tight ends on the roster right now, 3 of which we picked up this offseason during the draft process. So very stacked tight end room. Gathings is going to have to work his way up that depth chart, but we'll just have to see what he does. But this is the New York Jets, or this is the Jets Duo Show, episode 26. Gonna be off for 2 straight weeks. But me and Italy Jet got to go on vacation.
And so do
Well,
you. So do
so
you.
do we. You know, and for those that didn't hear in the beginning, he's going on vacation 1 week. As soon as he gets back, I'm going on one. We didn't really line those dates up perfect, but it is what it is. I don't know. We got lives to live, but
Forget about it.
forget about it. It's the summertime. Not much is going to be happening anyway. You just hear us talking about.
Well, I
who
guess we'll
knows
find
what.
out. I guess we'll find out.
We will find out because we still have Quinn and Williams to figure out all this. But that's all we have for today's show. Italy Jet, I know you're a busy man, and I know you got some shows to plug. So let's go ahead and do that right now.
Man, I got a Red Sox show. I got a Miami Heat show in the works. Lots of Jets content, lots of Jets shows coming up. I am a very sassy Italian, and I embrace it. So if you don't like it, I'm so sorry. But me and Jude do a show once a week. And also we might be switching it up to twice a week when it gets to more of the season. But I'm Italy Jet on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp. Follow me. I'll follow you right back. And I'm really excited about vacation. So y'all have a good one.
The list keeps going and going and going and going. For everything
Yes.
Italy Jet does, you gotta write it all down quick because it's coming at you fast. But if you guys want to find me, of course, this is my YouTube channel right here. Scroll a little bit down, and I got all my content right there. Hit the subscribe button. Also, I have an Instagram. Also, have a Twitter. It's the same, man. I made it easy for you, as you know, Score Chats. But that's it for today's show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in throughout the entire show. This is me and Italy Jet signing off for now. See you guys later. Peace.
Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all